Hey everybody, welcome to Houdini Hangout. It is getting to be the end of November here. I can't believe the year has been kind of flying past us, but here we are at the middle end of November. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name's Peter. I'll be the host of the stream this evening. And hope everybody's doing great. Hope everybody's day has been good. I have been off of work right now, so that's been kind of nice. I've had some time off, just kind of recuperating a little, but mostly moving into my new house, which is cool. But I'm also streaming from there tonight. So I'm hoping that we'll have good quality tonight. Everything will be nice and smooth. Got some nice new internet. Hopefully the quality is a little bit higher. Fingers crossed. You might hear the audio sounds a little different because I'm in a different room, obviously, and it's going to be a little more echoey. It's not quite as full of a room. I have a lot of bookshelves and things like that in my current room, so it definitely deadens the sound a little bit. So it's still a little echoey in here, but it's nice. I'm in a new place. So hope you're all doing well. Not sure if anybody is out there. Yeah, looks like a few people have joined. Cool. I am just going to go and double check, make sure my chat is working, because I'm obviously just making sure everything is up to date and everything. Yep, looks fine. Okay. Just making sure. Hope everybody's doing good. Oh, thanks. Yes, I know. Yeah. Housing is definitely a hot button item, right? We're definitely very lucky to have been able to get a house. But I mean, we were very happy with our apartment. And it was great. It was really nice living in an apartment, and we just wanted to have some different things like a dog and, more freedom to be able to do whatever we want with our home and things like that. So here we are. But anyways, thank you. I appreciate that. Been a bit of a busy week for me and a busy last month or so. I've had quite a few workshops and things like that I've done for side effects, which has been really fun. Doing a bunch of different random stuff. Some game dev stuff and some USD courses, workshops and things like that. So it's been really fun. Lots of different stuff to kind of work on and mess around with. But tonight we're going to be doing a little request that was from the Discord server, and I believe it was Pascal that had requested it, and there we go. There it goes. Okay. It was the House of the Dragon intro. And I think specifically what we were looking at is all of these cool threads in it. I'm not going to play it just for fear of getting some sort of weird content strike against me. But basically I'll show probably just a picture of maybe a frame here where I can get a nice shot of it. Let's see here. So we've got all of these threads. Where's a good shot of it? Let's see. All right, this one looks good enough for me. I'm just going to bring this over and just throw it on my screen for a second here. And we can all take a look at it, and then we can start the process a little bit of going through this. Let's see. There we go. So obviously we can see that there's all these threads and things like that. And so they're all kind of procedurally building on one at a time, that type of a thing. So these things are all building and kind of growing. And that's the idea of, what we want to kind of try to recreate. Obviously, thanks, Mattis. Yeah, I'm wearing a hat today just because I don't know. I put a hat on earlier and then I was like, shoot, I'm gonna have hat hair, and I don't have like not all my stuff is here at this house yet. So I'm like, well, I guess it's a hat day for me. So yeah, thanks. I do like it. It's very nice. Anyways, yeah. So got lots of little threads and things like that coming in. So that's what we're going to be working on tonight. and we'll see what we can get into. I've done some stuff like this before in the past. Definitely done some tutorials and things like that, out on the web, and there's lots of great ones out there. I mean, I'm pretty sure there was an entanglement tutorial about it a bunch of years ago. Lots of, hey, how's it going? Welcome. Yeah, there's whoa, what just happened to my Houdini? Okay, my Houdini just did something really crazy. Okay, thank you very much. I know, sorry, I should probably not make such a big deal out of it, because it's not what everybody, it's not the most common thing in the world. But anyways, I also live in a very low cost of living area in Western New York, and so I'm really lucky for that as well. I don't live in Los Angeles or New York or something like that, where I would not be able to afford. For me, every day is cap day. Nice. I have been wearing them a little bit more. I think as what's on top starts to thin out a little bit here, some days I'm like, I'll just wear a hat, I guess. So anyways, yeah. So, like I said, I don't have a like, this is exactly how we're going to do this and all that kind of stuff. I have some ideas. I have some thoughts. If you want like a really tight tutorial that's going to teach you how to do this stuff, go watch Entagma, go watch a million other tutorials that are out there. That's fine. I just figured we would go through this, give it a shot, see what we can get up to. And, yeah, we'll, do some problem solving, try to come up with some, good solutions and things like that. But as always, I always like to kind of start off the stream by saying, like, if you are, if you have a question, you have a comment, anything like that, please feel free to drop that in the chat. I'm always happy to look at that and try to, have those, have a back and forth conversation. This isn't just me showing you like, hey, this is the exact right way of doing this. Like, there's going to be things that I might not explain well, or that you might be struggling with or whatever. So please feel free to bring those up. And also, if you see me doing something that you're like, that doesn't make sense, or like, I think the math is this or whatever. Like last time, time I think we had, I can't remember who it was that was helping me with doing some math, but they just kept popping in and being like, I think this is the math. And I'm like, oh yeah, that is. And my brain was probably barely working at the time. Yeah, always love people coming in, helping, giving their suggestions, giving their 2 cents. That's always welcome. So please feel free to do that anytime. So I think with that being said, let me put my Houdini into the right mode here. Okay, cool. What is going on here? That's really weird. Oh, okay. Sorry. Anyways, my screen is doing some weird stuff. Okay, well, let's get to it, and we'll start diving into this. All right, so there's quite a few ways, obviously, that you could go about doing this. What I was kind of thinking would make the most sense would be to do something where we're driving, I think it's pretty obvious that we want to drive this with attributes, have some sort of attribute that push it, tells these threads when they want to kind of go over and connect and stuff like that. So I think first and foremost, that would be what I would want to have happen here. So I think that is going to be something easy to, not easy, but that's a good starting point, I think. Another thing that we're going to need to do is kind of control the way that these threads are going to be, the shape of them and stuff, right? I think we're going to need to create some sort of a ramp type parameter that'll allow us to kind of shape these curves for us. So that is, I think, probably the best place to start here. So why don't we, I guess let's try to start this with maybe just one straight thread and just start getting the animation of that kind of, nailed down. And then from there, we can probably, we could try to get the process to work on maybe more than one. So I think you know, that's a possible way that we could start. So I guess maybe we should just start there. So let's do that. What in the world is going on here? Okay, something's funky. Sorry. Getting this like huge delay. Okay. All right. Don't know what that was. Anyways, all right. Let's get a Geo Object. Drop that down. And we'll just say Geo thread anim. Something like that. Get my colors up here, give it a green. All right. So let's just start, you know, let's start with a, just a straight line. I think that's all we should start with right now. So let's do this. Let's put this down in different axes, right? Like our axis, this is pointing straight up. So why don't we have it point over to the side? We can do that in the Z. So let's just do that. Oops. Okay, cool. There we go. So we've got that pointing in the Z, and we've got 2 points. Let's visualize our points here. And why don't I change that a little bit here, make these a little bigger. We'll do 6 maybe. And the guides, we'll do those at 6 as well. There we go. Cool. All right, so we've got those a little bit bigger, so hopefully you can see those. Let's up those, I don't know. Maybe we'll do 20. I don't know. That sounds about right for now. So let's do that. Now let's go a little higher because I think we're going to need some more than that. So let's do 40. And all right, so we've got this curve. Let's throw down let's do a resample is an easy way to get a curve view. So let's do that. I'm not going to resample it by anything. I'm just going to turn that off. And I'm just going to calculate the curve U on this. So what this is going to do for us. Yeah, I did 2 parts on it, and I think I kind of got to a spot where I was pretty good with it. So we did it last time, I want to say. So there was 2 parts to it. So feel free to go back and take a look at that. I didn't really get to like rendering or anything like that. But I don't know. That's always a little, I mean, there's a million tutorials on how to render and do things like that. So the droplets, we kind of got to a good spot, and I was like, yeah, I think we're good with that. So anyways, let's do this. So let's find these curve views. And so we've got that, right? That's going to set it from 0 to 1. And now we can do some nice stuff. Like we could do a, let's see here. We could do a, sorry, got my overview there. I want it off, please. Go away. Okay, whatever. All right, sorry. All right, so we've got that. Let's do a point VOP. I find that to be pretty easy to use to get a nice ramp parameter and things like that. You could use it with Vex, but it's pretty straightforward to do it with a VOP. So let's do this, and let's take the curve view. So we'll bind that in, bind the curve view in. Also going to make sure my autosave is on. It is. Cool. All right. So what we want to do is use our curve view into a ramp parameter and have that control how our line is being displaced. The other thing we should probably do first is give it an axis that we want it to displace along. And so with that, we could just do an attribute create and just give it an up vector to work with. There's a million different ways you could obviously do this. We could do an attribute create. Actually, we could also do an attribute adjust vector. Hold on a second. Something's going funky here. I'm just going to restart my Houdini real quick because I feel like something's going on weird with my computer here. So just give me a second. And I am going to restart that because I keep hitting tab and it's like not doing it. It's really strange. Like, I don't know what the deal is there. Give it a second here. Also, on a totally not a side note, but with the stream, I was noticing that my microphone the noise reduction thing doesn't seem to be working with it, and I'm really frustrated. So sorry if my microphone is a little noisier right now than it normally is, or if it has been noisier recently. Sorry about that. Hopefully it's not too bad, but you know, I'd like to have it so that if I knock something or do whatever in the room, it's not going to be too distracting. So anyways, so I'm going to try to look into that, see what's going on there. No, I don't know what my desktop background is. I think my wife put this on here years ago, and I cannot remember what it is. It's just a waterfall. I don't know. She put it on there, and I was just like, sure, whatever. It doesn't really affect me at all. Great. I'm glad it sounds good, Zach. Thank you. Good stuff. All right. Let's go back to this. See if we've got, like, what is going on there? That's so weird. Oh, you know what? I wonder if it is. I updated my graphics drivers. Is it doing something weird there? Huh. Interesting. I wonder if that's what it is. All right. Anyways, I can live with it. Yeah, that would be a cool Houdini sim, a waterfall like that for sure. Okay. Anyways, so let's do this. We're going to add an up vector here that we can just kind of control along. Actually, I'll just do it along n. So we'll call this n, and we'll give it a constant value of 1. And if we turn on our normal visualization, we should be able to see that we have those pointing upwards like that. So that's the axis that we're going to displace this along. So if we come down in here, we can just do a displace along normal. And if we were going to do this, we can just put p and n into here, and then get our displaced p and n out of there. And if we did that with the displacement amount, we just go up and down like this, right? So it's pretty straightforward, just kind of goes up and down. With that, what we can do actually is take our bind, and we can do that with a parameter. So we can do a ramp parameter like so, put the input in here, and then we can take the ramp out into the amount, and now we've got something that we can work with, right? So this is just a color ramp right now, so let's change this to a spline ramp, and it's going to be linear. And when we come back up here, we can see that this is just a flat ramp, and now whatever we do here is going to control that, right? So we have that. That's great. We've got that working. And so we'll just say, maybe we'll call this something like thread profile, something like that. And this is n vector, or we'll say initialize n, something like that. Okay, so there's our thread profile. So what I'm going to do as well, since this is just gigantic, I'm going to set a scale here that we can use. And this is kind of a big size right now, right? It's obviously like an entire meter. So that's a little silly. So let's maybe do something a little smaller, maybe like, gosh, I'm in my freedom units that I can't think about here very well. So what is a inch to a meter? Let's see here. So if I just want like an inch long, that'll be like 0.025. Okay, perfect. We'll do that. That's a nice round number. So let's do that. So let's change this to 0.025. Great. And that is going to be much shorter. And so obviously now we want to control how high this is, because it's much too high. So let's do this. Let's come in here, and we can maybe we could adjust the scale here. We could just give this, we could promote this parameter and just say thread height, something like that, and call this thread height for the label. Just remember, for the name of the attribute, or the name of like the parameter, has to be just all to get, you can't have spaces in it. The label can. So there we go. And now we should have this controlled, where we have a thread height that we can look at. And so maybe here we'll give this something like something really small. Maybe, gosh, 1/8 of an inch, maybe, not even. 0.625. Yeah, so let's do 0.015. Cool. Oops, too many decimals in there. Let's delete that channel. Nope, sorry. 0, 1, 5. There we go. Cool. So now we've got a nice like low scale here, and this will give us some nice like threads like that, right? So we're starting to get somewhere with this, right? So let me turn this off, and we can just kind of look at this as an actual curve here. Maybe I'll also. Oh, cool! Welcome. Welcome. Glad to see you new, and hopefully you enjoy this. Yeah, Houdini is can be a little mind blowing. Key sign. Welcome. But yeah, hopefully you'll get something out of it. And this won't be too crazy for you. Anyways, so now we're in a much better scale here, I think, where we can work at, and we could have, you know, more and more of these pieces that we could lay down. I think what we'll eventually do is something like scatter based on points, like do some instancing on these like little threads that we have, and then run some of these resamples and things like that over them, or not even need to run a resample over them. We'll use that starting line with the resampled value and the up n, and then we can run that over a bunch of these points. So that's what I think we're going to do here. Right now, we're just working with this one thread. So that's going to be what we're dealing with here. So maybe this is a little too small. Maybe we'll do that 0.0025, something like that. Sure. Okay. So what I'm going to do, make this a little bit bigger. Maybe that's too big. Yeah, maybe that's too big. Let's go in here. And let's adjust this. I'm just going to hold down Shift and select all of those. Oh yeah, I don't have my key thing on my keyboard display. Let me turn that on for you. Okay, so I'm going to click and hold down Shift on those, and that'll allow me to select all of those. And let's change these to maybe a Bezier curve. That might be helpful for us. We actually might not even need these, so let's maybe delete those. And what we could do is we could just kind of use these to make some curves, and that's actually probably going to work pretty well. In fact, one cool thing that we could do here is we could actually take these and go a little further with them up into the positive. So we could go up to a 2 maybe here, and maybe up into a value of, 2 there, something like that. And that'll give us like this nice kind of, something to work with here. So maybe if we do them straight up like that, that'll give us like a nice profile. You can kind of, grabbed an extra one there by accident. So we can kind of play around with this. Now, something to keep in mind is that this will be controlled by the length, by the number of points that you have here, right? Because since we're going straight along a line like that, as if you want them to go, oh, that's so nice. Well, Keyside, I'm glad you did. And if you need any more help, please feel free to reach out to us, to me and other people that are on our Discord server. Happy to help. And yeah, it can feel like a real struggle. It took me a long time to get proficient at it. So I'm really glad that you feel that way, and hopefully we can keep moving you along. And that's kind of the idea here. So hope there's lots of other great content out there too. So hopefully you'll find some of that as well. And like I said, I love it. The Intagma stuff, that was really helpful for me in the beginning. And for me, one of the big things was like once I started seeing them like type in Vex and I would know what they were about to do, I was like, oh my gosh, I know. Like it was like an I know Kung Fu moment for me. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can do this. Like this is crazy. So anyways, yeah, that's really awesome, man. Thanks. I'm glad you're here. If anybody else wants to join the Discord server, there is a free invite there that you can jump on, sign up, or just add it to your list. It's free. Yeah, happy to be on there and chat and help out with whatever. So if you have questions or trying to figure stuff out, let us know. Let me know. Yeah, I'm there. Other people are there. Lots of great folks. Some really smart people jump in there from time to time if they see people are asking questions that like somebody was asking a question about Maya, and truly, I don't know anything about Maya, to be honest. I've never really used it in a professional setting. So, so I think Toadstorm, who makes mops, jumped in there and was like explaining some stuff about that. So it's just great. The community is a lot smaller and a lot kinder than you might think. So it's nice. Anyways, so here we are. We have this line, and the amount of kind of resolution we can get is limited because if we're doing this in a horizontal line, we can only push them straight up, right? That's what we're kind of limited to. And so these corner pieces right here, where we're getting these kind of longer sections, those are going to be limited by how many points we have. So if we took this and say went to 60, we can get a smoother line there. And if we just keep going up crazier and crazier, we're going to kind of come to a limit here, but there is going to be diminishing returns on this. So the other way you could go about doing this, now maybe not that low, I was thinking maybe like this, 20, something like that. You could start with this. No one knows about Maya. That's awesome. So anyways, you could start with something like this, and then once you've got these threads set up the way you want them to, then you throw another resample down, and we can get an even better look out of that. And obviously the length is too long, so let's reduce that a little bit here, something like that, and maybe we'll just go down a little bit here. Maybe we'll do something like that. And we still have the straight line, so if we change this to the subdivision curve option, it'll actually smooth that out for us and add lines in there. So it's kind of like, you can decide for yourself what makes the most sense. You can see here we can smooth those lines out quite nicely. Even if we had a lot less on each of these, even if we had like 10, it's still going to smooth it out a bit. Now we can't get this as sharp because we have a point that's maybe here, right? We maybe have one point here. So you have to kind of give it a little bit so that it can form the initial shape. And then if you resample it, you can get kind of this nicer curve going. So now we have this, shaped curve happening here. And there's a few different ways that we could do this. Now, probably the best way to go about doing this now would be to use the clip by attribute. That would probably be our best way of doing that. So what we can do, well, I guess there's several different ways. So there is a carve. That's kind of the standard, that's the standard kind of old school way of doing this, where you can just cut a line right across like that. It's very straightforward. We can do this here. Probably the second U is the better way to do it. We can start from the origin and go across. And this is great. The only thing that can be tough about this is that, if you need to drive it by an attribute, we can actually set that up. Maybe this didn't used to be like this. I think this might be new because I don't remember having an attribute there. So we could actually use this now that I'm looking at this. So there's a few different ways we could do this for sure. And I don't think I even realized that. So that's kind of cool. Great. The other one that we could use is we could use a clip node, and that, if we drop that down and wire that in, we can also now clip by an attribute. So we can do that here with this clip attribute. We could use curve U, and we can use that here. So we can now clip based on curve U, and we could say below the plane. So these are the values below it, right? So we've got this coming across like so. And there you go. So we could do this one of two different ways like that, right? So this is the very simple thing that we're going to be doing here, which is just cutting this, right? We just want to cut this at a certain attribute point. So that's one thing that we can do. Another thing that we probably should look at is a way to animate something onto this and do it that way. So I think what we will want to do is actually have an attribute that gets kind of gets transferred over to this geometry. Hey Lucas, how's it going, man? With the new clip stop, can you just do the outside, like the outline of a model instead of the geos what's in it? That's a good question. No, I don't. Like a scan line effect without cutting the inside geometry. I mean, you could, like, if you're doing it based on an attribute, yeah, you could. You could do something probably like that where, because if you're clipping by an attribute, any attribute that goes past the threshold value is going to, cut or whatever, right? It's going to get cut. So yeah, if you were doing that you could probably control something like that. I don't have like a specific, I'd have to see like a use case maybe to think about how you would, or like an example or something like that to think of exactly what the best maybe method of that would be. But yeah, you could probably do something like that with it. There might be, it might be like a better way to do something like that might even be to do a plane that you would Boolean with an object, and that would give you, you could have that output seams, I think, and it would give you just the outline shape that's going around that like wherever it's like intersecting, and that would give you that curve, and then you could trim that maybe around your geometry. So that might be a better way of doing something like that. But it's an interesting question. You probably could do it with this. I would just have to think of it, exactly the best way to do it. I think maybe a Boolean thing like that might be a better trick to do, because then you can get that, you can more easily get an outline based on like what, kind of what direction you're looking at it in. The other thing you could do with that is like, no, I'm not saying, with a Boolean, I'm saying like, I'm not sure what the outside and the inside geo are. But like if you have you don't have to use it as a cut thing. You could just do that on the side, like keep your geometry and then on the side get the outline of the geometry with an intersecting with a plane, and then get the seam that's going around it. I'm not exactly sure what effect you're going for. The conversation delay. Sorry about that, man. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. I'm not sure about that one. That's a little tricky. If you have multiple geometry and you want it to cut one and another, yeah, that'll be a little tricky. But I'd be curious to see an example of what you were thinking of there. Okay, so anyways, we have these two kind of options for how we can carve this. But I think what I want to do is, we really need an attribute to be sort of moving across this, right? Like that's gonna really be helping us here, right? Is having this attribute that moves across this thread so that we can have it cut, right? Instead of using something that is that's moving, we want like a parameter or something like that. We want an attribute to move across it. So what we could do is we could do something like this possibly. So let's do an attribute adjust float. We can use this to get some values here. And what I'm going to do is just call a mask maybe. Or you know what, even better, let's just grab mops, because that is exactly what we're going to do here. So I'm going to use mops to do this, because I think that'll be our best way to do this. So let's see here. Do we have a shape fall off? I think is what we want. We've got a linear fall off here, and we're going to be able to use this attribute. So let's do this, and we should have a linear fall off that we can animate across this. And so there it is. Okay. So our fall off is gigantic. Rightfully so. Let's do this. Let's just scale this way down. There we go. And so now if we took this and go across it, we're going to have that animation going. So that's good. Let's see if we remap this and just fit it and reverse it. I think that'll be better. I think now we can just have that go across like so. And so what I should be able to do here is, as this value goes across, we'll cut based on that. So we should be able to do that. Let's take a look here. All right, so let's Oh, sure, sure. That's a great question. I did a bunch of mops kind of streams. It got to the point where I was struggling to do more of them, and it just was taking a lot of my time. But the thing with mops is it's kind of created to give a really nice bridge from Cinema 4D and the way that it's like effectors and MoGraph kind of stuff works. So it's motion operators. That's the acronym's kind of purpose and meaning. And so what mops does is it gives you a whole suite of tools that gives you ways to kind of affect copies of geometry and stuff like that. Yeah, there you go, motionoperators.com. Check that out. Lots of great examples on there. It's free, first of all, which is great, and you can install it and use it. And so one of the main things that these fall-offs do is they're going to do exactly kind of what it was that we're about to say there. So if you look at this here, we now have we can actually preview this, right? So we can preview this fall-off that we're creating. So let me just zoom in a little here to this line. And so we can see that there's this dark blue line. And as I move this across, this is going to give me a linear fall-off. And when it gets full white, that means the value is 1. So as I swipe this back and forth, you can see that the values are changing here. And so it's coloring those points and also giving us a fall-off value. So what I could do is do something like call this mask instead and just use this as a mask value. We're not going to be using all the mops tools, so we don't really need to worry about that. Up to you, obviously. It's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But what we can do now is we have this attribute that we can work with. And if we take that, let's see here. If we take that and we carve, now actually this is probably looking for this is a primitive attribute. Okay, so I think clip is going to be a point attribute. So in this case, it's going to be better for us to use clip than carve because carve is looking for a primitive attribute. Now we could change the way we're calculating this, and that could be totally acceptable and fine. We can look at that in a second. But let's look at the clip version first. So we have clip, we have our mops shape fall off. So let's tell it to look at the mops fall off now. And if we animate this and keep our view flag here, we should see that this should do something for us here. Let's see. Why is it not? That's the question. Do we want to do above the plane and move it this way? Oh. Why is that not cutting? Let's just do 0.5. See what that gives us. I don't know. Oh, hold on a sec. Oh, it is working, but it's previewing that. Okay, that's why. Change the attribute names them out. No, I went back to it. I think what it's doing, it was actually displaying it hovering over because now it's clipped here, right? So let's change this and let's just do this. Let's animate this and then we can go with there. All right, so I'm going to drop a translate down, put this to 40, maybe to 24, move it over like this here, add a translate, and just view this here and see what happens. There we go. So the reason it was doing that was because I had this selected and that was causing it to try to display this node as well. So that's part of what the issue is. So here you can see that it's actually cutting it right at that value. And the value is 0.05. So once we go above that value, we're going to cut it. So once these get to, they get below that. What's going on here? Right. So once the values they cut at that, and it's cutting the ones that are lower than that. Sorry. So anything 5 and above, it's going to keep. So in this case, now we can change this and we can actually adjust where this threshold is, right? So we could say anything that is, 0 and above will cut. So now if we look at that, we should see, oh, maybe let's try that. Yeah, there we go. So anything 0.5 and above. So I think it was struggling a little bit with the 0 side of it, just because it's like trying to figure out if they're all like 0 or they're all 1. I think it struggles with that a little bit. So anyways, yeah, sorry, I was just displaying the wrong node here, unfortunately. If we were going to do something like, so let's just do something like just quickly, I'll do like a wireframe on this. Something like that, and just give it a small little wire axis on it. If we were to do this and animate it, or just not even animate it, but just control it. So I'm just going to delete this channel real quick. And now if we do this, we'll see that it is actually animating, right? The problem is we're seeing that spline, that kind of spine still. So, so we've got this thing animating across, and that's good. Now, conversely, what we could do is, we could take this same value, let's see here, and I'm just going to put a switch down and wire this in like this and like that. Cool. Okay, so let's take a look at how we could do this with the carve now. This will be a little bit different. So what we need to do with the carve is we need to get it to a primitive attribute, so we can do an attribute promote, if I can type. There we go, attribute promote. Drop that down. Hey, how's it going? Welcome, Saul. Nice to have you here. All right, so what we need to do is we need to go from a point with this mops fall off and go up to a primitive attribute. So now if we come here and grab our attribute, we'll have our mops fall off. So what this is doing, just to kind of make sense of this, is we're actually going from it being an attribute that sits on each and every one of the points here. You know, we see we have this mops fall off. And here what we're doing is we have to do some sort of a mathematical function to be able to get it from the point to the primitive. And so what we could do is we could do an average, we could do a maximum, or we could do a minimum, right? So our minimum is going to be 0 in this case. So if we took it like this, it's not going to go until we get to, you know, basically to 0. And then it's going to slowly go up from its minimum there. So the thing that's kind of different about this is that it's looking at all of the points together, right? So it has to use all of them kind of in conjunction. So the sort of tricky thing here is that what you could do instead is if we're copying this, we could be putting this attribute on each of the points that we're using to copy this thread around, and then have that cut based on it, right? So this might actually be a really good way of doing this versus this clip method here. Sorry, if we just hit our switch here and switch it over, versus doing it this way where we have to get it to the actual point values in order for it to trim, right? So I kind of think that on a larger scale, the carve will work better, especially if we're doing instancing and like copying the points and stuff like that. So we're not quite there yet, but let's just kind of keep going with this, and then we can take a look at how this might best be done. The other thing I'm probably going to do is change this to maybe an average, and let's just see what this looks like as we move this across with average. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see here. The other thing we could, like, it's sort of just going from the very start of it, which works pretty well. You know, we're basically right at the start value where we're getting those, you know, this cut happening. So that's actually working pretty well. I do kind of like that. And this is nice because we're working on an entire primitive here versus individual points. So that's probably a good way of doing this. So another thing that we want to do here is we want to have some sort of a way to control, you know, the direction that these things, you know, are sort of going in, right? Because like we want them to sort of start maybe up and like come down as they come into place, right? So we could do something very similar to what we did with this thread profile here. And maybe we'll just repurpose this because we can sort of take this and make it work for us again. So instead of bringing in our binding in the curve U, let's bring in our mops fall off here. And we can use that on our points to be able to kind of control where this is going. So let's take this ramp out for a second here. And let's see our scale. Yes. Do we still have our normals here? I think we should, right? We should have our normals still. Yeah. Okay. Just double checking. All right. So this is our over points. And if we take this and sorry, I'm just looking here. Why do we have our scale default to 1? I'm actually going to set this from 0 to 1. Let's see here. Do we have... Sorry, let me just double check what I'm doing here. So we don't have our mops fall off. Oh, right, because it's up at a primitive attribute here, and it's been deleted from this. So I'm actually going to uncheck delete original. So that should give us some better control here. So let's go back. I'm going to turn this way back down because I think, yeah, that'll be better. So let's turn this off from delete original. This will keep a mops fall off on the points as well as the averaged one on the primitive. So we'll use both of those kind of in conjunction. So now if we take this, we should see, yep, we definitely have this adjusting it. But part of our problem here is that it's going the opposite direction. So we want to remap that the other way. So let's invert this. We can just do a fit here, fit range, drop that in, and let's take it and just flip it around like that. And now we should see that as we move this, it should kind of slowly, so it starts up and then it comes down like that, right? So we're starting with it up in the air. And so what we want to do a couple things. We want to pin some of these points, right? Because we don't want them to move quite so much. And if we take this and go a little further with it, maybe like 0.1 here, and we do the same thing, we'll see that we're going to get this kind of cool, like arcing over type effect here, right? Where it's going to arch and come across. The other thing that we can maybe work with is controlling how far from the edge we want this to go. Because right now we have it where it's going kind of the whole length of it. Let's see here. We might want to just take this down a little bit so it's only at kind of the very leading, or not the very leading edge, but only close to the leading edge there. The other thing that might be helpful is to do another ramp here to kind of control this a little bit better. Because as we go across here, yep, we should see. Okay, so we're sort of getting something going on here. It's going like that. And then why is it dipping down there? Because the values are going down so low, maybe. I'm gonna have to think about that one. All right, let's first fix this problem here at the very start. We don't want this to be starting up like this, right? We don't want it to be starting way up in the air like that and then, you know, moving around and coming down. Let's actually just look at what this looks like here too. So, oh, right, we're on the other one. There we go. I was like, why is that not working? All right, so we've got it up like that, like so. Okay, so let's look at this and stop this from doing this here. So I think what we want to do is just sort of limit the very first couple points here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this. And I'm going to bind in the curve U as well. So let's do this. Let's get in a little closer here so we can see what we're doing. Sorry, I was a little far away there. Let's do curve U again. And since this is the amount, what I could do is take this and multiply it here. Like this is like a scaling factor, right? So we can take this and multiply it and make it so that, you know, use another fit here. And we can use the curve U to basically say, like, in this certain range, don't, you know, don't have it, you know, scale, you know, move it up or whatever, you know, keep it basically in its same position so that it just kind of grows out and then kind of arcs over. So let's try that. So let's do a fit fit range here. And we're going to take the value here. And so we just want the very low end of this. So let's do from like 0 to like, I don't know. If we see right here, this little bit is like 0 to 0.015 maybe. So let's do that. And by the time we get to 0.15, then it can start growing. Well, let's actually change this. Sorry. Let's do this. Well, let's see what this does. We'll give this a shot. Then we'll go from there. All right. So we've got that. Let's come up here and just kind of see what this is going to do. So there it is. It kind of grows across and we get this weird sort of line happening. So we need to fix that a little bit because here we get this coming up. Got to think about how to control this a little bit better. Well, first of all, let's try this. And let's get a ramp parameter in here again. So we can get the actual shape of this controlled a little bit better. So let's throw a ramp parameter in here. All right, let's get this in spline mode. We'll call this leading edge maybe, and we'll say leading edge shape maybe. Sounds good. All right, so we've got this. There's our leading edge shape, and what we could do is we can control this now. So I think I'm going to do a B-spline because I think that'll be easy to kind of control because we can just sort of come in here and do a bunch of random little things. Yeah, do a post sample, resample. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Hi, Isaac. How's it going? Got to see Isaac in person, I believe, pretty recently here, if I'm remembering correctly, if I'm remembering names correctly. Let's see here. No, I want to go this way. I'm going the wrong way with it. So if I go like so. Cool. Okay, making sure I'm remembering names properly and stuff like that. Okay, so let's take a look at this, and we can maybe try to control this a little bit better here. Now, why is this? Okay, let's do this. Let's get this all the way up like so, and then we can actually reduce that. Maybe we don't want to go so crazy, something like that. Okay, maybe like that. And let's just see where we're at here. So we've got these points coming off. Okay. Maybe what would be better is then maybe it would be better than this is to maybe do the deformation the same way we were doing it with the clip, with the overall thing, and we could give it two different shapes to work with. Yes. Yeah, well, let's look at what Isaac was saying there, because that is a good suggestion as well. So let's take a look at that. What he was saying was we could do something like if we had a sharp end like this, right? That wasn't doing exactly what we wanted. You could always do a... Oh no, what happened there? What was that? Shoot. I did this before and I can't remember. Does anybody remember what I did last time? Shoot. How am I making this noise? Okay, there we go. Whew. The beeping again. Man, how weird was that? Okay. I hit some sort of key command there, and that my on-screen thing just like freaked out. That's funny. All right, so what you could do is do something like this, where you did a subdivision curve for it, and we could give it like, you could smooth it out like that, do a, a resample and smooth out these curves. So that's a possibility. But maybe what would actually be better is giving ourselves kind of two different points to blend between, maybe. And what I mean, yeah, I can play piano. Yeah, exactly. This is more of a synth type thing. Okay, so what I'm thinking actually we could do is just overall, like, give it a secondary shape that it would try to take, right? So sort of like this here, where we have this shape. Let me actually copy this one more time and grab this here, because this is going to actually give us this higher thread profile, right? And I sort of think DJ Peter. Oh, that's silly. All right, so I sort of think what we could do here, let me just animate this again, so I've got something to work with. I'm gonna do it over 48 frames just to give myself plenty of space. So what I'm thinking is that we could do two different things like this. So we could do maybe like that and one like this, right? And what I could do is actually blend this in based on the overall MOPS falloff value and invert that, right? So let's see if I can do that. Let's try that. So what if we took this? Let's take this here. So this is like this taller thread profile, right? And we could kind of have it go between the two. Let's see if this works. I don't know. We'll see. Do I have the HMT? Oh, is that Andrew Lowell's thing that he's got? I think that must be what you're talking about. Like where you can do music in Houdini. Yeah, that is really cool. It's crazy. It's like absolutely nuts. All right, so let's do the same thing. Oh, but this, we can't do it on a point level. We need to import a primitive attribute. So let's do that. We'll import a primitive attribute. From the first input from ourselves, and let's grab MOPS fall off. The results we're going to put into this scale value here, but we are going to, well, we have to adjust some things here. This is actually a float, so we don't need that. And then let's do another fit here. So we're actually going to use this to drive the whole thing. So let's try this. So we'll reverse it first of all. So let's just do a 1 to 0 like that. So now we should have it starting like this and kind of going crazy. It's a little too much, but we can probably control that. Well, we definitely can control that. All right, so we're going too high here, but that's okay. Let's multiply this here. So let's do a multiply, and we'll scale this by something. So let's grab this. I'm going to promote this parameter and just say, I don't know. Let's say we'll call it extra height, and we'll say extra thread height, something like that. Cool. And then now this should be at 0, and we can give it just a little bit. And there we go. Now we're getting something a little bit better here. Something I like a little better, like that. But the other thing that we could do is we could do another ramp on the sort of timing of this, right? Because we're getting this we're getting this value where it's kind of coming up like this, right? And then it's sort of slowly, it kind of slowly starts and then hits a peak in speed and then slows down again. So what we could do there instead, well, first of all, we could take this here and we could just set this to be a linear. So we hit shift click on that and do this linear. And so now we should just have a linear fall off between those 2 points. And it shouldn't slow down or anything like that. So that might be a little bit better to just linearly have this go across and let it control a little differently. So what we can do, since we're using this value here and this fall off to control, hey, welcome, nice to have you. So since we're using this primitive value or attribute to control this, we can actually remap that as well. So let's go inside of here and let's just rename this ramp to say something like extra height profile, something like that. So we have actual things that we can look at. So there we go. We've got our extra height profile. We've got our extra thread height here. If you don't like how that's being arranged, you can always go in and edit the parameter interface and do some stuff here, like add in a separator, apply, and that'll just break it up a little bit for you. Now so what we could do here now is we could come in and in this fit, maybe even before this fit, we could put our ramp parameter there, so that as it starts out, we could have it like go faster or slower. We can kind of control how that's going to, progress, right? So let's actually do that here. Let's do a ramp parameter here, and we're going to call this anim timing, and we'll call this thread animation timing. Also, you saw that was like blanked out because this is just called ramp. So let's call this extra height, something like that. And now we have better naming, and we won't, if we add another ramp in there, it's not going to freak it out as much. Okay, so we've got this ramp here. Oh, that one is a color. So let's change that to a spline. There we go. Great. And here we go. So this should basically be exactly the same now. Not quite. What are we doing here? Oh, no, it is. Sorry. I think it is, unless I did something goofy. Nope, that's working. Maybe I just zoomed out. I don't know what I did there. Yep, there we go. Cool. So now it's like feeling like we're like tightening up a little bit here, right? So that's kind of starting to do what we want it to. Okay, cool. So let's look at this here. Is this changing something? No. Okay, cool. Just making sure. I'm also going to move this down to like 72 just so we've got less frames and I can just let this kind of loop. And I'm going to put my time thing on here like that. Okay, so now what we should be able to do here is actually control this a little bit. So what we could do here is we could control how the sort of shape of this is working. And this is actually going to probably go up and down and back and down. Yeah, see, now we can kind of control how that deformation is being added to it. So we obviously want it to be the way it was before, right? We want it to be, yep, now that's never going to go down. So we want it to come down at the end, but maybe we'll just, oh, interesting. That's weird. We lost our extra height profile here. Let me just copy this and paste the values over here. There we go. Okay. I think that's more what we want, something more along those lines, but we'll just reduce this down a little bit here. Actually, what we could do is we could control this a little differently. So we could actually have it, hello? What's going on here? Oh, it doesn't like it because I'm playing back live. Yeah, it gets a little finicky when it's live like that. All right, let's see if we do this. See if what that does for us. Yep, that's kind of good. Let's just add a little more height in there. Yeah, so you can see here we can kind of control that animation. So if we take this and change it over to a B-spline and make it like a nice smooth animation like this, we can actually control sort of the timing of this, right? So we could come here and have it go like that, right? We could push this up a little bit and have it start a little sooner and then sweep across like that. So we can now kind of control how this animation is going, right? So we can sort of control this in a little bit of a different manner here, let's just say. So got a lot of control over how this is going to go. We could still obviously control this up here and adjust, you know, how those splines are going to go, because basically what we're doing here is we're blending between this extra height profile and the final shape of it, and we're controlling the timing. So we've got a lot of different little elements going in here, but this is going to help us control this across a lot of different elements here. So we can control this shape profile and timing, and it's going to give us a lot of kind of flexibility here. Okay, so I'm liking where that's going. It's kind of looking cool. So now here's our little spline thing, right? If we want to see the actual visualization of it. Yeah, I'm liking that. I think that's kind of cool. I mean, obviously you can control the timing and speed of it and however you want to do it, right? You could, you know, we could come, you know, there's just so many different things we could do here. We could add another points in here and adjust how these things are all kind of moving and flowing and stuff like that. Doesn't like it when I'm doing this when it's in real time. So let's take that out. Maybe we add more value over here and just let it kind of go like that. I don't know. And now the interesting thing here is that we could actually change one other part of this. We could actually have it not start to like get to its final state until we get a little bit further in it, like this, right? We could have it come up and then start to kind of tighten in, right? We could do something like that as well. So that's kind of an interesting alternative, as you know, to this as well. Let me paste the values back in here, see what that looks like here. So we have it kind of come across, and then slowly it sort of tightens into place. So that's kind of cool too. You could do that where you could have this really delayed if you wanted it to, right? Have it go like across and then start to slowly tighten in. You could do that as well. Obviously lots and lots of flexibility to be had here. And we could obviously control this a lot. You know, all very controllable, all very art directable and procedural. So it's nice. We got this whole like thing going on here. Maybe I'll just kind of bring this a little bit back like that. Yeah, something like that maybe is cool. Probably don't even need this one. So let's just, yeah, something like that. Cool. All right. So we've got this. We've got things starting. I'm going to get rid of this one because this one wasn't really doing what I wanted it to. So let's just use this. We're going to call this, let's maybe call this thread animation, because this has got a lot of stuff going on in it. And we're not going to really use this clip, I don't think either. So let's get rid of that. We'll take the switch out, kind of just get this a little cleaned up. Okay, cool. So we've got this going. This is our little animation here, right? We've got a thread coming across. Great. It's fine. It's one thread. So, but the cool thing is, right, is what we can do now is we can do a lot more than just this one thread, right? So what we could do is we could take everything that's after this piece here should just copy along to to these multiple points. And in fact, everything up here, this shape fall off, this could be done on our points that we're going to use to source the threads onto. So we're going to we can sort of split this off into two different worlds almost, right? So let's do that. Let's come in here and what's our best way to do this? Let's get a grid first of all. I think that's just an easy, nice starting point here. So let's grab a grid and grab that and scatter some points on it. That's way too big. Let's make this a meter maybe. How big is that compared to our thread? Yeah, that's pretty good. It could probably be a little smaller than that. So let's do 0.5, something like that. Okay, cool. All right, so let's take that and we can set up this thread profile. That's fine ahead of time. The resample is fine to do as well. And then we can move this actually over to here, to these points. So maybe before we do that, we'll just leave this here. Let's now do a not a copy, a copy to points. Okay, so a copy to points. So we're going to take our geometry to copy here. And then we're going to take our template points here. And we should have a bunch of threads now. Let me turn this off. So that's obviously really hard to see. Let me turn my preview off. There we go. Much better. So now we've got a lot of little threads. And if we look at this, obviously we're just kind of static. So let's wire this in. And I believe if we come down here, we should see that those are all going to grow simultaneously, right? So that's cool. All doing their thing. Cool. But that's not what we want. We want to do this a little bit differently. So I think what we can do is we can come over here. We can move this over to there. And now let's talk about what it is we're going to be doing here, because this is where we start to have the fun happen. So here's our mop shape fall off, right? Let's look at what this is doing again, right? So this is making a fall off. And this fall off is going now, instead of it going across all of the points, it's being copied to just these specific points. So let's look at these. Let's turn our preview back on and we can see here. This is what's happening, right? So let's animate this a little bit better. Let's bring this back over here, right? And then move this over here to the end, right? Oop, actually, that needs to be here, so we actually get a keyframe on it. Okay, so now we're actually animating that value on each and every one of these individual points. So as they go across, that is what we're actually working with, right? So there is our attribute animation. And really now, the promotion part that we were doing, where we were taking the point and moving it to the primitive, it isn't really happening anymore. So that's interesting, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because we have our let me think about this here. No, I think this should be fine still, because our animation is being defined here by this value. And it is working, I think. It's just doing it very quickly. So there's our animation going really quick. That's not what we want. What we want to do is spread this out a little bit. So let's take this and let's add some uniform scale to this, maybe something like that. And we can now see that we have a much larger fall off between all of these. So let's do that, maybe to there. And now let's take a look at this. And there we go. We've got something going. Now, the reason that this is working, and actually is this even seeing that anymore? Don't think it is. Well, it's doing something slightly different here. So the interesting thing is that we really didn't even need this. We don't really need this attribute promote anymore. And so the reason for that is that this copy to points can actually do that attribute promotion for us. So we could actually mute this, I think. Let me just think about this. Mops fall off is on primitive. We're bringing in, what value is this here? This is curve view, so that's fine. This is, we're importing the primitive attribute. So yeah, we don't need to deal with that. So what we can do here is we can get rid of this. We can mute it. And here, so now we don't have our animation, right? Because it's not getting promoted. But here we should be able to do apply to primitives by copying, and we should be able to do mops fall off there, right? And then if we come down here, we should see, yep, it's working again. So now we're getting that value. And we don't even need that to be on those points ever, because we're just copying it over, right? And the cool thing here is that we have this this mop shape fall off, right? I think if we do a noise fall off, I think we could add some interest here as well. So let's do this. We could do, what do we want to do here? I just want to look at what this looks like. Let's do some frequency here. Let's add some noise into it, something like that. Sure. Let's do add. Oh, you know what actually we could probably do? We could do the noise first, then do the shape fall off, and do this as could do this as a multiply, I think, right? I think that would work. Oh, it does. You're right. You're right. It does. Thank you. Thanks, Zach. It's been so long since I've done that. You're totally right. Add noise. This works way better because then we don't have to deal with all that nonsense. Set, right? That's what we want. We want to preview it. There's our noise. If we add some frequency here. Yep. Hello? I should have gone the other way. Sorry. There we go. Some frequency to it. Let's turn the amplitude down a bit. We don't need it to be so much. Yep. And, well, maybe we could turn it up a little bit more. Maybe we'll do it like that, and we'll just start this to be back like that. I don't know. We'll play around with this a little here. Let's see. There we go. Thank you for reminding me of that, Zach. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so if we do that, we should now see, you know, we can have these all kind of growing out in different little random bunches and patches. Let's change this back to 1 and just go up by a certain amount here. All right, that's pretty good. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. That's fine. There we go. And that's going to look a lot better. And obviously, if we took this shape and just adjusted it, we could have it be more at an angle this way, right? We could easily do a bunch of different effects with this. Again, thanks, Zach, for reminding me that that is a real thing. Okay, so we've got some threads going on here, and this is pretty cool. I mean, we're starting to get some nice effects going on here. Yeah, starting to really do something. And obviously this shape is just arbitrary. You could do it with any custom shape, right? You could do it with anything at all if you wanted to do, you know, if you want to do a circle and do it on the XZ plane and scale it down a bit. There you go. Now we have a circle, right? So we could do this with any geometry really at all, right? There's no limit to what we can do this with. This is all in a procedural system, so all good. Now the other thing that we might want to look at here, just trying to think of how I want to do this. Okay, so what we could do here, let's try to take this another step here, because it's all well and good to have them all going in one direction, fine, whatever. But what if we wanted this to do something a bit more interesting, right? Let's do something like this. Instead of a grid or a circle, let's start with I'm gonna turn my construction plane on here just so we can have that. Let's start with a curve, a Bezier curve. And let's build a Bezier curve here. So let's just do this. Hello? Sorry, I missed that. There we go. All right, let's put that down. There we go. Let's add a line over here. Great. And then maybe something like that. Cool. There's our Bezier curve, right? I turned the construction plane on just to make sure that we're not drawing it in some arbitrary space. Where did that go? Where is our Bezier curve? Hello? Am I losing it? Oh, that's interesting. I made it as a separate object. I see. Okay, so let's grab this. Just cut that. Don't need that. Right, because I did it from the viewport. That's why. Okay, there is our curve. Let's do a sweep along it. And it's erroring because we don't have a second input here. So let's take a ribbon. Let's do that. And oh, right. Let's also resample this. So let's do a resample. And that's going to turn this into polygons from a Bezier, right? So that's nice. That's going to give us some extra lines here. So let's just maybe do this point. Okay, thank you. 0.05, something like that, right? We've got that set up now. And we're sweeping that. Great. What we probably want to do here is actually do orientation along curve. This is going to be helpful. So if we do this, we can actually get a couple of attributes here that'll be helpful. In this case, our normal attribute will go along the curve. So that'll be nice. We can use that to kind of control some stuff here. And then we'll have our sweep. We'll turn that off so we don't have to look at those. And that looks pretty good. I don't think we need quite so many of those. That's fine. Maybe we just do that and okay, so I'm just going to hit F and move this into the transformation option here and just kind of play with this a little bit more just to give us maybe a little bit more geometry to work with here. Cool, something like that. Yeah, whatever. All right, that looks good. So we've got this sweeped curve. Now if we do this, we're going to scatter into that. And then we have this fall off along it. And it's just going to go like that, though. And actually doesn't go far enough. So let's try something a little different here. What if we do a MOPS spline fall off? I think that'll work. So here's our spline. And then, oh, sorry. Nope. That's not what we want. We want to put the actual we want to do this, right? There's our scattered points. And this says packed primitives, but what it means is basically points, right? So we've got those, and we've got our sweeped geometry here. And now we want to take our curve and put it into this. I think that should work. There we go. Cool. So what this should do is do our fall off along that spline. Let's see here. How do we control this? Okay. I just have to remember what the best way of doing this is. Can I remap it? Yeah, I could do that. That would work. I just need to reverse the spline. There we go. So now I could use this to, no, this one to control it. No. No. All right, what am I doing here? Just make sure I'm not missing something here. Spline fall off. Okay, cool. Sorry, I thought this was going to be. That's a good thing, Tom. Yeah, I was just thinking about how to do this here, and I think that's a great point. Yeah, I think if I just do I think if I control this right here, the input minimum and maximum, that would be all I would need, because I could start it like this, and if I give it like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add a float onto here that I can use as a width. So I'm just going to put this down at the bottom, I think. Yeah, that should be fine. And we're going to call this fall off width. And the other thing I'm just trying to think is like, yeah, that's fine. Okay, there's our fall off width. That's great. Let's do this distance times curve position. We'll do the remap. And what I'm going to do is take this. I'm going to copy this parameter. I'm going to paste the relative reference here. And now if I do this, that should give us along the line like that. So that's great. That's giving us what we want, except it's not giving us any width. So let's do that. So let's do a fall off width of 0.25 maybe. And then if we copy that parameter, come over here and add this in, paste relative references. Now we should have a width that we can work with. Now we need to go past this, right? To probably like that, right? So let's start this the other way. Let's start this at 1, keyframe that, go up to 48. Go to minus 0.25, keyframe that, and now we should have a nice float, or a nice value that's going along there, like that. Cool. Yeah, it does seem weird. That might be something to bring up to. I mean, that's that's kind of how I think it works in in Cinema 4D, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a really long time since I've done any MoGraph stuff in there, but anyways, so that's doing what we wanted to now with our spline fall off. So that's great. We can use that. Now, I mean, the other thing we could have done is like done a sweep like we did there and use that shape to like drive the fall off too. Like when it's within the shape, like make actual geometry instead of just having it be a, yeah, we could have done some stuff there. But anyways, this is fine. It's doing what we want it to. So I think that's fine. All right. Now what I want to do is I actually want to take, I want to do one more thing here. I want to take this orientation along the curve, and I think we want to, yeah, because this doesn't have any orientation. So let's do this. Let's do an attribute transfer here, and we're going to transfer that normal attribute over. We can turn off the primitives. We can just grab the normal. And now we should have a nice kind of directional value here. And I think, let's see here. What if we do more of these? That should smooth it out maybe a little bit. Do that. And it's sort of changing it a little bit. Let me just see here. Does that matter with the sample count? Not really, I guess. I mean, you could sort of use it a little bit if you wanted to. Yeah, I think the other thing that you could possibly do would be to, could I do a smooth on that out of curiosity? Let me think here. Let's go back to this and that. That's fine. If I take this and try to smooth N, how will that work? Does that do anything on points? I kind of don't think it will. It needs to be a, it needs, oh, is that the problem here? Because I don't want it to be, yeah, I think the problem is it wants to be a geometry, like actual like surface geometry. So that's why it's not smoothing, but that's okay. That's fine. This should work just fine. So let's take this and let's wire this into what we were doing before here. Oops, got a few selected there. Let's grab that. Now, whoop, turn this off. There we go. We should have those down. Yep. And they're in kind of in the line the way we want them to. We could, heck, we could probably make that a little more dense if we would like. There we go. And we could also, let's see, we could probably give this a little bit more of a relaxed iterations. There we go. Get a little more uniform. Maybe 15 and push it up a little bit more. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, there we go. Got a nice bunch of stuff going on there. And then if we go here, we should see that our thread animation should still work. There we go. And we would obviously want to add something there. Another thing here that we're kind of running into, I think, is actually that this could have some more resampling. So let's do that. That'll smooth this out a little bit as well. There won't be so many like bands of like values, which is kind of nice. And there should be a noise in here, right? Yep, noise, apply. And then we can add that in as well. Let me just put that to something like that. There we go. And we could adjust this however we might see fit. Unfortunately, we're just at a really small scale here, so we're running into some weirdness, but that's okay. All right. And there we go. And there we are. Got a nice little thread animation there going. So, I mean, you can do this a whole bunch of different ways, right? The way that you would want to maybe have this, you know, these threads be created, right? You could do it with lines that you could copy these along, right? So you don't have to scatter them per se. You could have them, you know, you could do this in just a straight line, right? So you could do that as well. So we could do, can we just change this? I think, let's see. If we did that, then we will have, yes. Let's just reset that viewport there. Thank you. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah. There we go. So do we even need that? Probably not, because I think those values are on there. Yeah. So we don't even need this attribute transfer anymore. So we could just take this and wire it in like that. And then the curve and the packed primitives and the spline, you know, the two inputs are both the same. And then we get them like this. And then we can do the thread animation like so. We'll get it all in a line like that, right? Bloop. So you could obviously draw lines all over the place and do that however you'd like to. You could import a logo. You could do any number of things with something like this, right? There's a lot of options. So yeah, lots of things to be done and tried here. So what I would probably do from here is do something, well, actually, what I'll do first is I'm going to go into this, go into my remap, and change this from Bezier to linear. You can just type it in like that. And now instead of it being like this, like slowing down, speeding up thing, it can just go the same speed across the whole thing like that. And if you didn't want the noise on there, you could turn that off and it would just go in a straight line like so. And we could turn the width down as well, like that. Yeah, so that's sell the Game of Thrones. Yeah, I think there was a little more that they did there. There was definitely some cool threading, turning it into like a yarn basically, where it was like there was multiple threads twisted. So that's another tricky level that would could get real heavy real quick. But yeah, I like that PEC as an HDA. Yep. But yeah, it gives you a sense of how some of these things are done, right? It gives you an idea for, hopefully gives you an idea for how to go about some of these things, right? It's not super complicated, right? Which is nice. But it certainly isn't like the most basic thing either. Like it's, there's definitely some, you know, a lot of stuff that goes into it, a lot of thought and time and effort and stuff like that, that you'd have to keep going and keep kind of refining and stuff like that from here. But I think, like I said, it gives you an idea for what these types of effects are done like. I don't know if anybody has any other thoughts or questions about this, like about why I did something a certain way or like how I did it. Happy to answer those. I kind of did this a little quicker than I was thinking I would do this today, so it's kind of cool. That's nice for me to have a little bit of a lighter stream, but yeah, I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or questions or anything like that. Like I said, happy to get into a little bit more. Probably what I would do with this, as is, I would use, in Karma, I would use the, like a hair shader. The Karma hair shader is really nice and renders pretty quick. So I would do something like that. If you've seen some of my older, I think I did a stream with an embroidery setup and actually rendered that a little bit. So if you check that out, it'll show how I set that up. Yeah. You could obviously do other things where you have different control like points that would control how the That's awesome. Yeah, Tom, I'm glad it's helpful. Yeah, it is always nice to see different people's strategies and thoughts and stuff like that. I love it too. It's helpful for me to understand how different people think about different things. Yeah, I don't know. Any questions, any thoughts, anything at all? I know it's I don't, maybe it's straightforward. Maybe we did it, maybe everything's good. Cool. All right. Just checking the chat here. Seems like everything went great with the stream tonight, so that's really exciting. No internet issues. Awesome. I've got fiber internet now, so this should give me a much nicer, cleaner feed. So that's very exciting to me. And I tried to up the quality a little bit visually, so I don't know if you can notice or not. Maybe, I don't know. Tried to increase it a little bit because I've got hundreds of megabits that I can upload now, and not just 12. So I've got lots of extra bandwidth. So yeah, if you do notice anything better, that is great. I'd love, you can always let me know. You can notice. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Great. Oh, I'm so glad. That's fantastic. Yeah, I was hoping that like all the stuff would be a lot clearer. Like, obviously we're dealing with like little lines and numbers and things like that. Hopefully it's a little easier to read. I did have to turn it down a number of years ago now. So, yeah, so that's great. Awesome. As always, this file will be on the Discord server, or it'll be on a link to a Google Drive on the Discord server. So you can always look at these things after the fact, and yeah, you can play around with them, see exactly how I set them up or whatnot. In this case, do be mindful that you would need to have mops installed, but just the free version. You don't need the paid version for this, since we're only using some of their free stuff. But one that would be really cool, actually, now that I'm thinking of it, just as a little plug for mops, because man, Henry does awesome stuff. If you don't know Henry or have never interacted with him, he's on a bunch of Discord servers and stuff as Toadstorm, and he's fantastic, and he makes mops. But there is an infection fall off. This is in the plus. So let me just remember here. So polygons, infector points. Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to share the files. Yeah, no worries at all. All right, so we've got our input polygons, infector points. Okay, so let's try this. Let's do. Okay, I am going to do a planar patch because Yeah, Mops is awesome. It's really great. All right, because this is all connected. So let's do this at a size. What was my size here? 0 0.5, 0 0.5. Okay. 0 0.5, 0 0.5. Let's make some more of these here. And let's see what happens. I think, yeah, let's see here. Oh, let me turn on the preview. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do a scatter and just scatter like 3 points maybe. And those are there. And then this should get the infector points. Let's see. Why is this? What is happening here? Maybe it's supposed to be this. Sorry. What am I missing here? Let's see. Let's see if there should be a help card for this. Let me just load that up real quick. See if I understand what I'm doing wrong here. Because this is a cool one. Source is spread to existing point attribute, external point cloud. Oh, okay. So, all right, let's try this. Let's revert to factory defaults. I think the problem is, let's try this again. That's the input polygons. Let's do the scatter here. Let's do 3 again, and let's turn off relax iterations. I think that'll be a little better. Or maybe we just do a few less. I don't know. Sure. Anyways, let's do a mops plane fall off here. The value is now 1 on each of those. And let's preview the fall off. What is going on here? Oh, whoa. Okay. There's the problem. Something's too big. Ah. Dumb. That's just so stupid. Okay, there we go. Let's just adjust these around a little bit. There we go. Yeah, it just was my scale was all goofy. So let's do this again. 0.5. There we go. Yeah, the infector point scale was too small, too big. So now if we do that, there we go. There it is. Lovely. And I don't know if, just curious if it would work on these. Let me just see here. 1,000. Yeah, it would work on that too. So that's fine as well. Cool. And then let's add a little bit of noise into there. Maybe do like that. Now that's the noise is messing it up. I think. Huh. See, I thought this noise would be on the edge of it and not. Yeah, interesting. I'm just surprised it works at the very beginning of it. There we go. Cool. Okay, so if we do that, and now we copy them over, we can get, we can get a kind of cool thing going on here. Now, why? Oh, right, because we have that highlighted. That's why. Like that little spread solver thing. You know, whatever. It is what it is. Maybe not the most interesting thing in the world, but certainly you could control this and do some fun stuff with it. And then maybe here we could give it a little fall off. Oh. Okay. Apparently we went a little too crazy there. There we go. Nice. Oh, to get it on this patch on an animated geometry. Yeah, I think it would just be here, let me try something. Let me just reset this. It's the most Houdini thing to do. Yeah, it is a very Houdini thing to do. All right, so what if we do this? What does this look like here? Let's see. Yeah, that's so Lucas, that's what that was what they did um in the actual video. I'm gonna do this, sorry, 0.5, 0.5. And we'll turn this back down to like maybe 1500. Let's see here. Send it through chops and delay it. Oh, I'm not doing any chops tonight. No. I'm definitely not very good at that. Okay, so if we were going to do the twist on them, what I would do, let's just look at it this way here. Like, I would pretty much... Yeah, I think the easiest way to go about doing it would be to take this. Let me take this out of here and do a... Oh, for the delay. Yeah, there is. Yes, that's true. There's a mops for that. I forgot. So yeah, so if we just did a sweep on this and dropped it in here and did round tube, turn the radius way down, and let's see here. So I'm going to do a couple, like I'm going to do a little attribute delete here, because I think what's happening here is that the normal is actually messing it up. So let's get rid of that. There we go. So those are our tubes, right? And what we could do is we could reduce this even more, maybe something like that. Yeah, there you go. So you do columns, maybe do, I don't know, do like 5 of them, something like that. And then you could do some twists here, get some nice stuff going on there. And maybe this would even be less like that, right? Obviously this is going to be a lot slower, right? So, oh, and the other problem you're going to run into, right, is as it comes out, it's like not even twisting yet. That's really funny. How would you deal with that? Yeah, maybe what I would do is take these. Here's our thread animation. Here's our attribute. That probably wouldn't work though. I was just thinking you could take them and... Can't you do before the copy? Maybe. That's a good point. Okay, I'm going to need to do this again then. Okay, like that. Yeah, I guess maybe we could do it this way. Yeah, Yeah, it does work. It does work. Look at that. Let's do this one just to see it maybe working a little bit more in a way that we might expect. Oh, actually it was this one here. Yep. Yeah, it does work that way. Nice call. Yeah, that, I mean, obviously the whole time of it, mountain the sweep. Oh, like jitter it, you mean? Yeah, you could do that. Actually the better spot to do it would probably be here. After here, yeah, because then you'd get more noise. Yeah, you could do that. Mountain. There we go. If we do that, and then something really tiny, maybe. Oh, I'm not visualizing it. That was stupid. Okay. Yeah, so I guess you'd probably want to do it on a couple different places. So yeah, I'd probably want to do it like this to just break it up a little bit, right? And then to give it a little bit of something. And then probably, actually, you're right, you would do it up here as well. Give it another something up here just to break it up. But this one you would want to do like... Yeah, see, the problem here is that's going to give it like this, exactly the same thing. So we'd probably want to do a couple different random amounts of noise down here to really get it, to something that looks nice. That's actually not too bad. You could do something like that. Yeah, get a little something there, and that'll kind of break it up a little bit. You could do a few different things there to make those, to give those some interesting values. What you might actually want to do as well is noise it up based on the out like direction of the thread, so it like moves around or whatever. But yeah, Tom, that's a great suggestion as well. What Tom's saying is to do a sequence of the thread animation and then make that as a packed disk primitive, save it to disk basically, or load it as a packed disk primitive, and then play the animation that's instanced basically. And you can do that with mops, I think. There is some stuff in here as well that would do that. I can't remember which one it is. And it might be in one of the plus ones too. I can't remember. It might be in delay. I don't know. No. Oh, yeah. It might be this one to do the sequence delay. Yes, I think it would be something like that. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that right now, mostly because I don't remember the exact workflow, and I feel like, no, you could do it as a Houdini cache. I think if you do file and import it as, load pack disk sequence here, this is how you would load it in, right? And you could get, your sequence or whatever, and you set your frame range and all that kind of stuff. And then that would give you your pack disk sequence, which would be a sequence of packed primitives, and then it would play them back based on that, where you could basically use the mops fall off to do that, I believe, and then play your sequence. People have asked me that oftentimes. I tried to do something stupid with it the one time, and I messed up the workflow, so I don't want to like give people bad information or anything like that, and I really don't remember it right now off the top of my head, so I'd have to play around with that a little bit, but I think that would be a good way to do it, would be that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you need to do that because you need it as a pack disk sequence. Because if you look at the delay node specifically, I think, yeah, it says do sequence delay, and it says frame index of instanced alembic or pack disk sequences as well as the transform attributes. So I think what you have to do there is you have to instance them, and you need to oh gosh, I don't even remember. Let me think here. All right, I'm just gonna do this. We're just gonna do this and this, and we'll do an attribute attribute promote. We're gonna go from point to primitive with the hello. Nope, that's not right. We're going to do that with the, oh right, we don't have our mops fall off, so we need to do that. Let me just do this, and okay, I think that's going to do what we want it to, right? All right, this is just too big. Let's see here. And it needs to flip. All right, see you later. Thanks for joining. Bye. Let's just do this 1, 0 like that. All right, let's see if I can get this to work. There we go. Cool. All right, so we'll just do that, and we'll do 24, and then do that. Cool. I think that's looking good. Okay. Perfect. All right, so let's just do a raw geometry output. We'll do hip geo and just do OS, and we'll do frame range. Delete the channels here and go to 24. And I'm just going to call this thread anim. Save that to disk. It is saved. Let's do a file. And if we load that in and do it as a pack disk sequence, There it is. Okay. I think that's what we want. And this here, yep, this is what you want here, this path. So I think if we do that and then copy it here, I don't think we even need, yeah, it's, wow, that plays way faster. That's crazy. Whoop. Okay, so I think, let's just make another one of these actually here. And I'm just going to get rid of that because I don't want this file to not work. Let's do that and that. There we go. And let me see. I think there's a way to... Okay, so we've got this spline fall off going here. And can we do that delay? Let's see. Oh, is there a set sequence? Yeah, there is. You're right. You're right. Is that how you would do it? Maybe that's how you would do it. Let me see. No. Set the frame range on the clamp. Yes. Yes. Okay, override frame range, expression. Let's see. No. Okay. So I think... I wonder if it's this, or if this will do it. No. Yeah, see, I don't remember this exactly. Is it this? That's weird. That is way less interesting. Well, anyways, yeah, I'm not sure exactly how this workflow is supposed to go, and I'd have to look into that a little bit. I figured I'd give it a shot, but I think it's something along those lines. Yeah, I would take a look at this, read into that a little bit, and see. Good. I'm glad I got it further for you. Maybe it'll give you a little something to mess with. Um, but yeah. Anyways, I think that's where we're gonna end it for tonight. But I'm very happy with what this all was. I'm gonna add some notes in here just so people. Just gonna say save sequence, just so people know what the heck we were doing, if they look at it ever. And this was call this mop sequences, like that. Cool. All right, so if anybody's looking in here, they can take a look at it. But anyways, there we go. Save, done. Cool. I think that is where we're going to end it for tonight. Hopefully you got something out of that. Definitely a fun little thing for me mentally, just doing some fun stuff. So that was cool. Yeah, thanks everybody for joining tonight. It was super fun. Good to chat with everybody. Like I said, I've been not really doing much Houdini stuff the past couple days, so this is nice to get my brain back in Houdini world. Yeah, give it a shot. See what you can get into. I mean, try it whenever, over the weekend, whenever you get a chance. But yeah, cool. Thank you all for joining me and for chatting. And yeah, if you have suggestions or thoughts or anything like that for the future streams and things like that, you can always go to the Discord server, drop a recommendation there. There's a topic suggestion channel, so feel free to go there and add some stuff in. That's where I got this idea. So yeah, I like to check that out and see what people are curious about. So there's a bunch of stuff in there that's kind of a backlog, but I go through there, and as I learn new things, I'm like, oh, hey, I could tackle that thing now, or I know how to do that, or I have an idea. So sometimes it takes me a really long time to like, I don't know, get smart enough to do some of these things. So yeah, so sometimes it takes me a while to get to them, but I do appreciate you throwing them in there, throwing ideas up and stuff. So yeah, like I said, that'll be it for this evening. Thanks again for everybody joining and for chatting and stuff like that. And yeah, glad everything went well with the internet and that things maybe the quality looks a little bit nicer, and we'll hopefully get to do some more with that. And I hope to get the echo down a little bit. I don't know if anybody's hearing it, but maybe if you turn the audio up, you'll hear it a bit more. But anyways, great. Thanks everybody for joining, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great night or day or whatever time it is for you. It's night for me, but have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.